Hello, this is Dr. Matt Eschler, your relationship fitness coach, checking in with you again. Can't wait to talk with you tonight about one of these simple tools that you can use in your relationships to make good relationships great and great relationships fantastic, and even terrible relationships can move up to good if you use these three tools. We're going to talk about each one of the three tools separately. We're going to give you some very clear assignments throughout the thing. So be ready for that. Have maybe a notebook and a pen, and get ready. Here we go. So without any further delay, let's talk about these three mandatory meetings that you're going to engage in to enhance your relationship, to create connection, romance, intimacy, communication, and investment in your marriage relationship. As a fitness coach, a relationship fitness coach, I want to tell you one of the main things that will bring people into my office in dire straits, like on the verge of divorce, is what I would call time-starved relationships. These three meetings are the solution to that. And I know when you hear the word meeting, you might think, I don't need one more meeting. You're right, you don't need one more meeting. I'm going to ask you to take about 11 hours of your week and change it. I'm going to ask you to not just put these three meetings in empty spaces where you're supposed to be sleeping or having dinner. I want you to actually not do some things and plug in relationship investment time into that spot so that you're not overwhelming yourself, but you're actually creating space for love, connection, romance, and intimacy. We all crave it. We all say we want it, but are we willing to invest to get it? Here's at least one pathway. Now, I know there's other dilemmas. We're going to talk about some things that we might need to do later in another episode. But for now, I want you to think about investing time into your relationship. So meeting number one, I'm going to call it couples counsel, council, counsel. It's where you counsel with each other. As a couple, maybe pick a couple of hours on a Saturday when the kids are busy, when it's just the two of you. You put your phones in a drawer somewhere so you're not checking your phone, and you give each other undivided attention for 2 hours to counsel with each other. I want you to do some very specific things. Write these things down. Your first order of business in this couples counsel is go over your schedule for the upcoming week. Let's pretend that you're doing this meeting on a Saturday. It might be on a Sunday, might be on a Monday, don't really care when, but just once a week, the same time every week. Check in with each other on what you need from each other. If you need help getting one of the kids somewhere, if you need if you've got a soccer game coming up and you want to make sure that both of you are there, put it on your schedule together. If you're planning a little vacation down the road, make sure you talk a little bit about that. Whatever's coming up in the next week and maybe beyond, put it on a calendar, plan it, sit with each other so you're not neglecting each other, you're not leaving stuff off the table, you're not missing the boat with each other. Super important that in this meeting that you don't set each other up to fail. This is a time where you help each other succeed with the weekly schedule. If you're a family that has a bunch of kids that all is in a different sport, it's a great time to coordinate the sports. It's a great time to coordinate rides. It's a great time to coordinate discipline for the kids, talk about who's doing well, who's not doing so well. There's all types of things that you can cover in this 2 hours. So that number one is go over the schedule and just make sure you're both on board with everything that's coming up. Number two, I want you to share and write this down, 6 things that you're grateful for about your partner. 6 things you're grateful for. So during the week, watch for 6 or 7 things, so you can remember 6 of them, to bring to the meeting and share, I'm really grateful for you for this and for that and for the other. Now, when you're the speaker in this sharing of gratitude, be clear, be honest, and be thoughtful. Really think about what you're grateful for during the week. Do you understand that that's the connection part? When you're processing these grateful thoughts throughout the week, it'll change your attitude towards each other. And if you're both watching for things to be grateful for, can you imagine what that would do throughout the week? And how well this meeting will go if you begin with gratitude. And when you're listening, accept the compliment. Don't kick it back and say, no, I don't really think that's true about me, or you don't really believe that. Just say thank you. Just those two are just thank you. So that's meeting number one is couples counsel. Go over the schedule, share gratitude. Number 3, this is the hard stuff. Each of you come prepared with 1 or 2 things that you would like to see better in the relationship. Now, you might bring the same one or two things week after week until they evolve better. It's okay. You might have a different one each week because during the week you create habits and now you're ready for a new habit. Whatever it is, each of you bring one or two things that would really make the relationship better for you. And I would like you to word it in not a, you need to do more dishes, you need to help around the house. I would rather you make I statements and be accountable for what you want better. I would love to have more help around the house. I would love to have more help getting some time to do outdoor chores on the weekend. Own the stuff that you would like to change and be accountable for your feelings, and make sure you're not blaming or sharing those, you are and you do and you always statements. We'll have a whole show about I statements versus blaming statements probably later this week. And then finally, the last thing I want you to cover in this is just any agreements that you've made. How are you doing on them from the last meeting that you had? Just check in maybe on some meeting minutes and make sure that you're staying on track with things that you committed to the week prior. Then that you can close with a prayer. You can go have a treat together. You can do some kind of a closing ritual. You might grab a little dinner together. You might make love with each other. You might do any number of things to end the meeting on a good, healthy high note. So it's meeting number 1, couples council. Meeting number 2, family night. Now, if you have kids, they come to family night. This is a time to counsel as a family. If you don't have kids, meet together and have like a little family night, just the two of you. Bring the kids in if you've got them. Have them be involved in the boundaries of the home. Have them be involved in talking about scheduling and talking about what's coming up in their world. Get their feedback on how the family's functioning so they take ownership for the family process. They take ownership and are accountable for helping the family progress and grow and become disciplined together as a family. It's really good for kids, especially once they hit about 8, 9, 10 on up through the teens. The more ownership they have in the family rules and laws and boundaries and agreements, the more accountable and the more interested they are in the family and how it functions. So you're basically taking that time to train your kids to be family members and train them to be good parents of themselves later on and good citizens in our community. Another thing you can do at family night is have a good, wholesome activity. Take everybody out and play touch football or go on a hike or bike ride. Take everybody to different places of where careers are created and show them different ideas of the workplaces. And there's just millions of ideas of what you want to do to help your kids, train your kids, and help them become good citizens. That's what family night's about. And so couples council is just the two of you for a couple of hours. Family night is 4 or so hours, right after work, dinner, and then bedtime, right in there between dinner and bedtime. Nestle a family night in again. Talk about calendaring, talk about what's going well with the family, talk about some of the agreements and boundaries that need to be worked on within the family. And then finally, have a wholesome family activity. Third meeting I want to talk about. Okay, you ready for this one? This is date night. Now, date night is not a time to have kids, other couples, other family members. It's just you and your spouse on a romantic interlude. 5 hours a week, maybe 6. Go on a really good date night. Now, some of you are thinking, what in the world are we going to do for 6 hours on a date night? What you'll do is enjoy the planning and carrying out a date. See, part of it is, you remember when you were in high school or just in college or just out of college and you were dating and courting? You would plan a date. You would organize the activities. You would make sure that you had some dinner. You'd make sure you had a fun activity that knocked their socks off. And you'd just look forward to it being fun. You'd read the label on the shampoo bottle so that you could do everything just right. You'd smell your armpits and make sure that you smelled good. Smell your breath. Make sure you didn't have bad breath. I want you to do that very same thing after 40 years of marriage, after 20 years of marriage, on your first 3 years of marriage. I don't want you to stop the courtship. So think about this idea that you're planning a date throughout the week. That's investing time, mind share, attention. You're excited about it. You've got a good idea. And so your first assignment for this section is I want you to either pause this and go do it now, or as soon as we're done, have a notebook ready. Each of you in a relationship, each of you write down 50 things you would like to do on a date. Now you've got 100 date ideas. You can either randomly pick them by tearing them up, put them in a hat and draw them out of a hat, or you can just read them, or you can take turns organizing a date. Whatever the case may be, make sure you've got a budget for it, make sure you've got a time budget for it, make sure you got a plan, and throughout the week, make the plan. Imagine how cool that is. You're thinking of compliments to give each other throughout the week. You're planning a romantic date throughout the week. You're having those little crossroads experiences where you touch base with your kids, with your family members throughout the week, and you're organizing a family council and couples council. Can you see how this will take your relationship up a notch if you're not already doing it? I'm telling you, as a relationship counselor, as a marriage counselor for 33 and a half years, I've noticed that most couples come into my office in tons of pain. Most of them are ready to do anything to get out of pain. And I shared this idea of 11 hours added into their week on connecting and feeding and investing in the relationship, and they do it and they get better. They get happier, they get more loving, more connected, more romantic, more juicy, spicy. And they end up staying happily married just because they've learned a few skills. What if you never wanted to get in enough pain to need to come and see me for reals? What if you do these without waiting to get in pain to do them? What if you start right now, and wherever your relationship is, maybe it's terrible, maybe it's good, maybe it's awesome, but wherever it is, it'll take it up a notch or two if you just do these 3 meetings every week religiously without fail. Matt Eschler, your relationship fitness coach. I dare you to do these 3 meetings a week. We'll talk to you again. Thank you, Thomas.